So today's class will at science and science and technology, defense, in defense, missile system. Okay. So how are we segregating our and what kind of coming up expected themes? When you are reading current affairs, you have to know concept as well as style of asking questions. We'll be covering both of them simultaneously. In the previous class, seen the need for Atmanirbharta in defense. So just like how the present situation, that is war between Israel, US and Iran, is creating a crisis across the world. More so in a country like India, where 85% of the energy comes from. Similarly, if that kind of a problem arises in the defense sector, we will be left with nothing that is in. Therefore, the problem statement here, how to get Atmanirbhar. Okay, in that first set of technologies, purely from a standpoint missiles. So when we are talking about missiles, you have to know what is the purpose of this missile and what are the various steps that are involved in missiles. For this, let me show what we are trying to do. In the previous class, we have seen that defense sector is about safety on all these fronts: land, air, sea. Okay. These three themes will be definitely a part of our. Apart from that, we also have defense export as another. These four themes, we are looking at the land domain, air domain, sea domain combinedly. So weapon systems that can be integrated into all these domains, missiles. So we'll be looking at them. So any weapon, when you are trying to a target, three objectives must be simultaneously achieved. First, you have to reach a specific distance. When you are having a war, there is a significant amount of distance in the terrain. Example, take the present war between Israel and Iran. There is a significant amount of gap between countries. You have to hit from one country to another country. So you have to take a guess. Do you have the necessary technology, the target from your home country? If not, you will have to station your firing rate such a way that your neighboring country, the enemy's country, will be accommodating you. Traditionally, no country will allow their land to be used as the domain of warfare because it will unnecessarily drag them also into war. So, missile is a strategic weapon that will give security to a country. The context. So, this is the distance part. If this is the requirement of a missile, what do you need to make it happen? Energy. So, if I have to travel from one place to another, and that too very quickly, what kind of technology will you make it happen? This problem should be solved. Second, when you are hitting a target, that precision is very important. Otherwise, it a lot of collateral damage. There is absolutely no margin for error. So, when you are moving such a high speed, simultaneously having stability is important. How do you stay on path? Get that stability. That is the second problem that is solved. Missile have one, a mechanism for pushing that weapon And second, it should control and guide the third. Hit target despite defense. Just because you are hitting the target, opposition will not be sitting and watching the movie. Also try to hit back. Despite that, everything in your control, distract them and hit the target. This will be the objective of both the sides. The war. Which side wins first? One with better efficiency. Every missile technology that you will be learning in current affairs is nothing but a technology that is trying to solve all these three problems simultaneously. Now, whenever you are talking about these three needs, that is for energy needs, then control or stability, finally precision, despite distance. These three cannot be solved by all the missiles. Some missiles have these two, not so great at this. Some will have energy, but precision is not so important. Like this, every missile is a factor of the problems that you are trying to solve. If you take a look at the history of gas missile, you have to know about something called the guided missile program. Okay. So, as a part of this, we are majorly talking about 5 different kinds of. Just to make it easy for you, you can remember it like Patna or Patan, whatever you are comfortable. Remember the names. Akash, Shul, Nag, Agni. These 5 together constitute program and they are the main weapon systems we have. Now, when you are talking about missile, what do you understand by it? Is it the weapon or is it also constituting the engine part? Just like how in a rocket, you are at an engine as well as the payload. As a missile system, have a payload as well as the engine together, right? So you have to know that a complete missile system will have components that will involve problem statements that we were talking about. The problem of how to supply power or energy to it, how to guide it, how to defend itself despite the distraction opponent. These 3 problems fit into missile systems. The better you are, the more advanced weapon system. Clear till now? Now, there are multiple missile systems, right? Why do we have so many? Based on their use case. Based on their use case, you can divide the missiles into different kinds. Intercontinental ballistic missile and missile. What is the basis of this classification? Distance, control, maneuver. How much control do you have? There is a weapon called the hypersonic. Where will you? Can this be a hypersonic? Is this a hypersonic missile? Can I call ICBM a hypersonic missile? Now let's define hypersonic. Those who don't know the meaning of the word, let me break it down further. What is the meaning of the word sonic? Speed of sound. So, if a body is traveling at the speed of sound, that is 330 meters per second, it is said to be traveling at 1 Mach. Subsonic means less than speed of sound. More than speed of sound, supersonic. Then what is hypersonic? More than 5 Mach. Okay. This is a hypersonic speed. Now what is a hyper? Above 5 Mach is a hypersonic missile. So can I call every missile that travels like this, that is above the speed of 5 Mach, as in defense classification? Can I call it? The answer is no. The classification in the defense industry of what constitutes hypersonic is again based on the ability to how much control you have. So hypersonic missile talks about a cruise missile that can be still maneuvered at a speed more than 5 Mach. As such, ICBMs will anyway have the hypersonic travel in the 3 Mach. A lot of people have a confusion. See, we can defend, if we can predict the path of ICBM, like say for our example, you have our Agni. This is a ICBM. We have our Agni. What is the point? Because anyway the opponent will detect it. This is the question that people have. Now some of you might not have the context of what I'm talking. So let me take a step back, explain the whole concept of ICBM, ballistic missile, how it works, why it is important to know the hypersonic category of the hypersonic category, what kind of question. So this, you see the ICBM, this is one kind of a missile. When you're talking about ICBM, it starts from land. Okay? It starts from land, then it is fired with the help of a push. There will be some initial thrust. Such a way it will escape gravity and enters into the space phase. Why is it entering into the space? To understand this, you have to know some basics about aerodynamics. This is Earth. Okay? And on the Earth's surface, you will have a thick blanket of air, atmosphere. Up till 8 kilometers of atmosphere, definitely fine. The nature of air is that it will create some friction. If you are moving this direction, there will be a flow of air that will stop you. So it will slow you down. Now when you use all your energy to escape this area, you are now in the space. This is the middle phase where the missile will reach so-called supersonic, hypersonic speed. This is the mid-course of a hypersonic missile. Now from there, you don't really have to worry about the speed of the missile because gravity will take everything control. After a point of time, the rocket has to fall down because it will be pulled back by gravity again. The dangerous thing about ICBM is when it re-enters into atmosphere at a hypersonic. But the only caveat or problem is it can be detected. There is a huge amount of time. Even after it is detected, after entering into atmosphere, you still can't stop it. It's traveling at 10 to your so-called air defense systems that we have today. Say for example, the famous Iron Dome of Israel is not sometimes able to stop the drones. Imagine trying to stop continental ballistic missile, which probably can also have a atom bomb. Imagine trying to stop that. Before you blink your eye, it will hit you. That is the danger. Even when it is predictable, just can't do it. Have no defense systems which can defend against. Country has it. 100% reliable. Whatever we have, we're doing our best just to maintain that cushion. If it is going to, at least it will cushion the blow, stop from extreme damage. So another topic that we will be talking, air defense, advanced air defense. Okay, we will see all of those separately. These are the basics. So when they're entering into our atmosphere at 10 to 20, one more area where you can expect question is what kind of materials should the missile be made of so that when it enters again our atmosphere, it is okay. So this material technology can be a separate theme, but since we will be discussing this in the right now, I'm just highlighting. You know why it is catch fire? Basic physics. When a foreign particle enters into our atmosphere at such high speed, the friction creates a lot of heat, will burn the material down. In a way, this is probably nature's way of protecting Earth. When a foreign particle is entering into our Earth's atmosphere and trying to hit us, the air itself will burn it down. So, if a missile system has to overcome that natural law, the material is made out of much stronger, resilient, so that it is not burned down. Okay? So, what is happening? It straight away hit the target. What is happening here? Gravity is taking care of everything. This is the classical, traditional intercontinental ballistic missile, which will depend on the law of physics. Gravity will create that trajectory. Once it is pushed, you literally have no control. The fatality of this weapon, the danger of this weapon comes from the fact that it is traveling at hypersonic speed and such huge load that started defense against the smaller, less impactful ICBM of 1980, 1990 are now easily intercepted by advanced defense players like Russia. Okay, so you are talking about hypersonic missile. Always remember the defense discourse classification is not meant on the speed. It is meant on the basis of control, extent of maneuver, how easily you can control that. So when you are talking about a cruise, this aspect comes from our ability to guide it. Technology. If you can't control it, the point of speed is immaterial. Speed is secondary because everybody will achieve same hypersonic speeds. There is no differentiating factor. If you want to gain an edge in the war, the edge comes from the technology that gives you control at sonic, sonic, supersonic. You can control at a hypersonic speed. Nothing absolute. You don't even have to go into the outer space. Just launch it and just in a blink will destroy the target. And what's worse, you don't even have time to react in a hypersonic missile. That is the lethality of this missile. Clear? This is the classification you need to remember. Now there are some more points like decoys, MIRV, MARV. What are they? We will have a look. But before that, let's see some basics. If you see, like I told you, if a missile system is supposed to be lethal, it has to solve some problem statements in science. So what are the problem statements here? If you want to cover the distance, there is air resistance. And the way we overcame it by multi-stage boost. In multiple stages, give a push through engine till the point it reaches space. From there, it is in autopilot mode. Second is about the path. Here you are focusing on the precision part because the ability to control is the edge. Then perception, radars. Missile system should also have radars defend itself. Some target is coming in its way, another missile, it should change its path. So ability to control and the attack it return, give it the edge. The futuristic technologies are the ones that will bring the lethality of a cruise missile on a IC. So before we talk about the lethal aspects of edge ICBM, let me briefly explain the cruise control. What do you mean by cruise control? This means very quickly, not in a predictable path, but exact path. Why is this important? Why is unpredictability important in a weapon system? If you are predictable, you are an easy target. I can take you down very easy. That unpredictability part, the edge. How will that unpredictability? By using technologies like radars. So radar is a sensing technology. It's like a sensor. Tell you where exactly the target is, how quick act, and what should you do as an in for the missile. In India, you have something called AWACS, Advanced Warning and Control Systems. Okay, so this is a kind of a radar. Now you might get questions. What is Rajendra, for example? Rajendra is a Indian radar system. What kind of questions can you expect on the basis of the discussion till now? Point number one, the meaning of ICBM, the meaning of control, the connotation of hypersonic missile. Every missile can be reaching hypersonic speed, but that is not good enough reason categorized as hypersonic missile. The ability to manage what separates it from other missile. What are the various missile systems of India? Akash, Trish, Nag, and Agni. The latest one, Agni, is an ICBM, now be enabled, can be fit nuclear weapon. So these are the things that you need to know. Now, India has been depending on, for example, Israel, Russia. In terms of missile, these are our two defense partners. Okay. Traditionally, we have been depending on these two, and depending on the range, we will have multiple missile systems. When you are talking about ICBM, they can reach up to 10k kilo, 1000 kilo, but you need always have such kind of a range. You can start from anywhere 100 kilometers to 500, 600. Okay? So a missile and its lethality will depend on one, the distance from which it can be fired, two, the speed at which it can be traveling, three, the amount of control we will have on guiding it at the target. On the basis of this classification of many missiles. You can see the discussion on why ICBM is not categorized as hypersonic is about control. Then, before we even, okay, this is one more topic I wanted to, before we even talk about the different missiles, I told you that missile systems are fitted with a source of powering them. And when you are powering them, various technologies again. So, what are those technologies and how are they different? One more thing you need. The various engines that you can see here are turbojet, turbofan, ramjet, scramjet. The order of complication in this is attributed to the amount of thrust they can give that missile system. So simply put it like this. If you take a look at our flight, what will happen? See, there is a wing. The wing, and underneath this you will have a fan that will be turbine fan which will be rotating at high speed. What will happen? It will suck air from here and push the air very quickly. Once you are pushing, your Newton's third law. Because you are pushing air in this direction, flight will be opposite direction. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This basic principle is what like propels a missile system. Now, the complication in the design is dependent on how quickly you want to move. If you want to move further bit more, will increase the level of sophistication in the technology. So it's like this. Take a look at this. Okay. Turbojets are the oldest and most general purpose jet engines. Something that you can see in your aircraft. Then a turbofan is essentially a turbojet, but with a large ducted fan that provides additional thrust. What happens in this? It's a fast rotating turbine in turbojet. Okay. It will just turn and push the air. Here, there's one more layer before that happens. Give it in the fan, there is internally one more fan, which will create some more thrust. Here, what happens is you are trying to, the ramjet engine, you are trying to use the aerodynamic principle by constraining the flow of air, which will give additional thrust. Finally, here there is no part in scramjet. You are not allowing or disallowing. You're not closing the door. If I have to give you an analogy, it's like trying to match like matchstick. You're trying to light a candle in a hurricane. Wind is so powerful. You're not closing the door. It is passing through, and yet you're trying to ignite the fuel by just engineering discipline. There are no moving parts. Just by using the shape of aerodynamic, we're creating that highest thrust. This is all you need. If it is too confusing to you, remember one thing. The level of engineering sophistication will give you the speed you want. Okay? To understand this, you should know the principle of aerodynamics. If you understood, otherwise, just to understand, there you will not have much of movement. And this will give you the hypersonic speed you are expecting. Yeah. So, if I have to create a comparative table, you will notice that both ramjet and scramjet will not have any parts. This is the most important point as far as the design principle is concerned. From material technology standpoint, most important engineering marvel. What makes it so wonderful? They have no moving parts. And we are using the natural pressure that we have. Caveat here. They can be used only when they are released from a jet. They need that initial push. It's like a missile is like you're artificially lighting a rocket and then it is. Since you are not putting any initial power here, mount it on a plane as it is moving at supersonic speed or jet speed, whatever, 1 Mach or 2 Mach, whatever speed it is moving, release it from there. It will have a initial thrust. From there, it will take forward. So you need an initial boost. Yeah. Then scramjet will or can use this scramjet. Light itself is such hypersonic or just approaching the hypersonic. Technically, these are very difficult. Maneuvering a hypersonic light is very skilled job. Not every country have kind of a. Now you need one more concept. Hypersonic glide way, hypersonic missile are not the same. A hypersonic glide way will be just a warhead mounted on a flight or a ship or any place. So not a ship, but it's basically aircraft only because you need that initial thrust. So what will happen in this hypersonic glide vehicle once it is released? Just like a hypersonic missile system, target you can. A simple example for this is Russia's avant-garde. Now, what you can expect is you have to by heart a list of names. This list of names, some countries which already achieved this hypersonic status will have to memorize them. Whenever such news comes into the picture, obviously there will be a comparison between India and those countries. At those. So this entire discussion on turbojet, ramjet, scramjet, very important for your basics. Based on this, you can solve a lot of questions in missiles. So I'll give you this, you can study. Now, hypersonic glide vehicle versus hypersonic cruise, what I was talking about. Now, what is happening in this? Give the initial boost or you mount it on a flight and then glide. As opposed to this, a hypersonic missile is continuous power flight, just like a, but it will move at a hypersonic. This is a cruise missile. This is a normal missile, but once it reaches a certain stage, have the ICBM basically will have the ability to move at hypersonic speed, still can be maneuvered. So now, like we were discussing how the ICBMs are getting advanced, we'll have to know some important terms here. Back to the basics. What is an ICBM? There is a missile, we're launching it, then falling on the target. If make sure that after it now start acting like what then? Problem, lot of energy, ramjet. What if I don't have any of that? Still want the jugad, like a ICBM, and then when it re-enters, will add all the technology such a way that will act like a lethal. Now I will add even once it enters our atmosphere, it is cruise already. On the top of that, what if one missile become three more missiles? Will release multiple warheads. This is what my RV technology is. Now I will complicate it. Along with this, I will also release some dummy targets. Distract the opponent. One more by technique. Now I will also ensure that each of these components again act like cruise missile by adding radars to them, control. Theoretically, this can be the that you can bring. As of now, whatever technology talking about are limited to deal with a cruise missile on the land, not from the after it re-enters. So a cruise missile can have multiple targets. Each of those multiple targets can have multiple radars. The cruise missile can bring decoy to distract the enemy. What even Israel did in Iran in the so all your interception, let's say the air defense, Iran did this for example. Iron Dome is very expensive. Missiles, etc. Very expensive. You are using interceptors, decoy dummies. You are now exhausted. You ran out of your Iron Dome missiles. Now what? The actual ones are reality. So these technologies, imagine how bad it would be to if this sanctions Russia. Today we have a S-400 mechanism which will have multiple targets like can create multiple targets almost like carpet bombing non-stop. Not India. What if US imposes sanctions under CATSA. A norm, violate that norm, can impose sanctions on a country. But trading that country. Sanctions can also be short. US can threaten they are not happy with country. India is a partner with. They will stop us back to the topic of Atmanirbhar. Now, when all missile technologies, Kash, BrahMos, Barak, all of them, all very, either it will be distance, speed, or control. So when I give you a note on the various missile systems and the respective specific parameters, all I want from is to observe what is the distance. Here you will be talking about radars. So in the notes that I will be giving, you have to understand this. That is the reason why I, after this, back to your